Amitakiapi, Okshina Duta, Makiapidom. Michante Westewi. Just give me a second here. That should be coming in better. Just let us know about the sound and let us know what's happening there too. This is our first virtual conference we're hosting here. It's our third annual. We're here at the Wapahaska Dakota Nation, or Dakota Yate, I guess. We've been the host for the past 3 years there too. It's usually live, but virtual, we're just getting used to it. And I know it's a time of Zoom, pandemic, all those things have been happening to us too, across our lands, across the lands of our Ocheti Shakoni too. So that's the Nakota, Lakota, and Dakota people there too. But from the Wakbeto and Dakota Nation, just located about 8 miles north of here, and we've got a population of about 600 people that currently live there too. So that's where I'm from. My Kushi, she was fluent in the language, and my father's fluent in the language. And at home we speak lots, and we do good at what we do. But I'm also always learning. It's a lifelong learning thing. So I'd say Dakota is my second language, but it's been a path that I've been on there too. And one thing I want to mention there too is the 215 young people that were found in British Columbia and under the Kamloops the apple orchard there too. It's kind of it is a tragic moment. We acknowledged it this morning at the grand entry too, but a lot of it was a direct assault on Indigenous peoples, on who we are, what we do, and who we were. And so it was a way of getting land. It was a way of taking away our economy, and just it was indoctrinating our young kids to be ashamed of who they are. One story I want to tell real quick. My Kushi, she was from the Shonete, that's the Pheasant Rump Nakota Nation. And when she was a little girl, she was 4 years old. She was brought out to residential school, and they were too young at that time. And then she told me that when they were 4 years old, she went into the school, and they were too young to go to school, so the older kids could go to school. And she said she had to sleep every day in the mornings, and then in the afternoon they were allowed to go out. They'd eat lunch, and they'd do a little bit of chores, and then the evenings after supper they would put to bed. She said, all I can remember is that they made us sleep all the time and be in bed. And there's some horrendous stories that happen there too, but I just want one story towards our language, and it was the nuns that did this to people. Is that what they did was one of the girls were speaking the Nakota language, and she said a lot of the people from Tatonkanaji, they could speak the language too, and they were out there. And then some of the other girls, they caught her speaking her language, and they reported to the sisters. And what they would do is that if someone was caught speaking their language, and said for a lot of them, it was the only language they knew, and they didn't know how to ask for food, how to say, where's the washroom, or why are we here? And they weren't under the protection of their Tuwi or their Degshi or their family, their extended, their Tioshpai, their extended family, their beautiful families, and they weren't allowed to speak their beautiful language. So what they do she said with the young girls, if they ever did that, they would teach them, they'd make them stand on a table. And when they'd make them stand on that table, they'd dress them up in a kerchief, and they'd dress them up wearing their traditional skirt or dress, those type of things. And then they would teach all the other kids to throw fruit or apples or just vegetables or anything on them for speaking their language. And when I heard the story of the 215 this weekend, it was kind of made me think, but I started to think of my Kushi there too, and how hard it was when she was just to speak your language as a little person. And that's part of the indoctrination, to take away our language and the direct assault on who we are as part of the Ocheti Shakoni people too. And we're going to have some good speakers this weekend there too, but I thought I'd throw that in there. My grandma, she went to residential school till she was about 12 years old. She came back to her people, and she was gone for many years. And when she came back, she said she could barely speak her language, and they taught her that when they spoke the language, it was the devil's language, and they were scared of it. By that time, the indoctrination was so strong. And when she went back to her reserve, there was three young men. They rode up to her on a horse. And this is my great grandma, and she said they all wore long hair and they were all dressed the way Indigenous people did in those days. And when she drove by, when they rode up there, they started speaking the language to her, and she was a little girl. Like, she wasn't little, but she was about 12 years old. And then when they spoke to her, she said she was scared of her own people. So they indoctrinated her so strong that she didn't even know how to love her own people, her own kind, her own language, and for her, it wasn't home. And eventually she met her mom and her dad, and then she met her grandpa, and they taught her not to be ashamed of her language. But a lot of that is carried forward in who we are, and that's one of the many stories that are out there. But I thought I'd share that, Mitaki Api, but thanks for listening to me. But we got some good guests coming in, and what they do, I'm a counselor out at the Wapayton Dakota Nation. We're work constantly to work with our young people. We do ceremonies, all those good things. We have the Inipi all the time too. So a number of families do it out there, and we're a small reserve, but we believe in all these ways, and it's we try to walk that red road the best we can. But what I want to say is that it's a beautiful thing, the event that we got hosting here, and it's part of being who we are. And it's a time of pandemic, but it's also a time where we're learning to do things like through this virtual learning. And this virtual learning is something that we can do. There's classes that are out there where we can get together. And some of our people live out in Los Angeles, they live in Hawaii, they live out in Florida, or even in Europe, but they can learn the Dakota language through a lot of these tools there too, because a lot of our community, we suffer dysphoria, and we're not in our home communities, but they can get together on some of this technology. So excuse us sometimes for we make mistakes sometimes with this, but we're learning all this stuff, and we're going to get better at it. And it's just one tool to revitalize who we are. And some of the statements I want to say, but I think we're almost ready to go. I got my assistant here, Crystal. She's helping me out here too with this. But if you have questions or comments or anything you want to say there too, and if you want it, you're welcome to say anything you want there too. And we encourage it. We want people to have that going. We've got some beautiful speakers coming in, and they're experts in their own area. And that's why we're going to get started. But I think we're ready to bring in our first speaker now there too. I think we're ready to go, Crystal. Okay, with that, we'll get started. The time has started there, but we got a gentleman that I knew he was on a Unity ride when I was a younger man, and my kids were just little kids, but he came out to our reserve out in Wakapeto, and it was a good sight to see when the riders came up there, and it really gave us energy to our community. And they came up there and they looked good, and it looked beautiful too to see fellow people from the Ocheti Shikomi back to our lands, because sometimes we feel far away from everybody. And it was beautiful, and I just really acknowledge them and thank you for coming to our community at those times there too. But with that, I'd like to introduce our first guest speaker from Greengrass, Arvol LookingHorse. Koda Padamedo, and thank you for being here on this beautiful day.
Wopila hechalo. Wana wagla kinkta wana. So you chante washte na pe choose api metake pi. En particulier exchange chasha tra wagla ke wichoya ke. En en particulier wana imongla kapikte. Heche en particulier uglakni rapi na tiwayo kit rapi hechetona na wana kupta yakapi na you wachante washte na pe choose aplo. It's a great honor to speak to all of you up there, everywhere, the audience, and I want to say that today it's a very beautiful time to acknowledge our sacred language. And I am a fluent speaker I live on the reservation here in Greengrass, and the heart of our nation, the sacred bundle keeper, the Chanupawanka. And my first language is Lakota. Eche makaka eche wichunchake. Nka eche na oate na oglakapi. Nka eche meja oa imachake. Nka eche apetukule eche wichoye na echikchike na apetukule iwanglakapikte. I want to say that it's an honor to speak our language, and I always encourage all nations to speak their language, their medicine, their language, and medicine, a way of life. And that's the way we understand life, to be healthy and well-being. That's what I said in my Dakota language. So when I was very young, living on the reservation here, then I spoke Lakota since I was probably a baby. And I remember that's all I knew. Like the elders talked about the language, how sacred the language is. So that's the way, only way I knew our way of life here. Being a sacred bundle keeper. I think the elders and my grandma, Muchicha, Hunkashlo Icha, Ija Woksape, Wohunkuke, the sacred teachings. Ashe, apetukule, da kachota lida trokicha, nash, wichoye na wogla kapika, nija kita trokicha. Eche, ahani yat insia wogla kapi. Echakchi okoyapi. Ashlan okoyapi kile trokicha. Na wichoye na wayan kishni. My view about the sacred language is that they call Yat Insia Woglakapi, is to make sure that they really said the words in a respected, strong way. And today, I've seen the changes, that how we speak, and the things that there's a lot of things that we speak is very common, and just the way our life is, just to enough words to get by. That's the way I see. But when I was young, they talked about the Wamakashka, the animal nation. We follow the animal nation, and we seem to really identify with the animal nation, Wamakashka. But today, in our language, it's kind of different, because we don't use those words no more. And our everyday life is more just to say hello and bye. Basically, that's the way we live in a very, very fast world. Hachimaka Okoya Piki Lila Ta Kashimaka Kanache Okoya Pina Lila Ohula Pishni. Hachima was a Kankinka Hachimaka Kanache. Gakuke. We have an oral history, and when you lose a connection, that's where the sickness come in, and the words that there some words we don't have in the English way. There's we do things, and we like the word like in our a lot of people talk about love and compassion, and and the elders when I was very young, they said these words like this, or we do it, so like we live that life of this the love and compassion to all things of spirit. Ache imachake ha chile chanapa awanka heme hechon on he hank ha uchake ene kapi na hechakchi kan tugnache hochuko kit kapi kana take hela wabulese na yake. So being in my position as a sacred bundle keeper, the elders told me that no, the Great Spirit chose you. This is your life. And you're going to speak the language and know your songs and know the ceremonies. And they say that you can't use foul language because it doesn't belong to ceremony. So I never did use foul language. So when I was very young, being raised by my grandparents, they were very strict. They were humble. Wala on okonyapi ash taku ina tuktognaache woksape ina yusutapi, to make that our way of life is very humble, peaceful way, but the stories and anything of spirit is very strict. Wo opche means the law of the chanupa, the law of the pipe. So when I was 12 years old, the elders told me about Uchimaka, because Uchimaka is the purification lodge today. And they call it the sweat lodge. It's a very hurtful word because it's a very sacred ceremony, the purification lodge. Trunkan tipi. See, when you say Trun is birth, Ka is an ancient, and we have to pray with that. And Trunkan is the Iya, the Rock Nation. That's what we use in the lodge. That's the first spirit that we have to acknowledge. In the first creation, there was Trunka, the Rock Nation, the stone. And then the second spirit is Mane Wichoni. Mane Wichoni is it's a word of life. And what I speak about is very respectful to the spirit. I mean, that's our way of life here. Like Sherry Chasha, common person, people of the earth. So we have our connection with Ojimaka. So the purification lodge sits on top and goes beneath the earth. And that's the balance that we have to understand in our life. Everything in our way is about balance, or the Great Spirit gave us a mind. And see, the language I want to introduce you or speak to you is our sacred, you might say a sacred way, a sacred format, because that's all you have to utilize that to go into ceremony. Like which the red color is we say duta or luta. Then if you just speak, it's it becomes sha, red, sha. And the sun in the spiritual word is called sun. But when you just use everyday language, it's ska. And so the white buffalo calf woman, when she brought the sacred chanupa, heha chanupa ahipi heha eche uchak. Now Tatranka san, Angela san. So the word that we use in our language, everything in our language we use is about life. So in our ceremonies, no, every word it starts with the W-I. We is a son. We is a son and give us life. That's a cycle of life here. We come from the star nation. We live upon the earth. Then we go back on that Wanaki Chunku. Goes in a spiral or goes in a circle like that and goes into that back to the sun. And that's why the sun, Wakantanka, the most give us this, the sun give us life. So all of our sacred words, that the we is a woman, we cha sha is a man, we kan is a rope, we choni is life. So everything that we use of spirit starts with the W-I, because it's about life, how sacred life is. Eche mentake pi nka makaka neche na uchoye. Nka che makaka ke ile wakon kilapi. Na eche ta kueche na iwache ke akimoni pi. Na wache kukaka pinka. Na ake na uchoyake. Woksape na apetukile ake na otkachinkile ucheta na hikile waka kachankile waka we trawashi kile waka. Chale da kueche hochuka ukumpi nash ukiglu yampi. Ina onshi chake ina che uchoch ankile. Churchasha wotra wakankile. Nuka prehinkile waka. Chake ani uchoaki. Uchoake he dohan heche Tachani Traki Daha Hoyapi. Hungashla Wakantaka Hoyakapi he Wochik he. When you speak, when you place a prayer, no, all of us have to really feel that prayer. So a lot of tears of prayer, man or woman. We believe that there's no one person higher than the other. We stand in a circle and there's a lot of sacred teachings with that circle. Changleshka Wakha, the sacred hoop. So each person standing together, it's about Wawakha. It's about bringing that sacred energy together. And they say that everything here upon the earth is very Wakha. And we have to maintain that as long as we carry our ceremonies and as long as we carry our prayer. And the word for prayer is Chekia. Chea, and Kia is to send your voice. Comes from your body. And the sacred knowledge, your hair. Nahiki, the waka. The mind, body, and spirit. So the way that the Great Spirit gave us that teepee is so like a vortex to the Bakantanka. Bakantanka is with you. And we know that we know the star knowledge that we chakpi waka. We have stories of the sun, the moon, the star. We chakpi wakana. Ahak ehana wachaki. Di lachamakakan heche hooks up the water. Nache okoyan pikile. I opened up the hechmakakan heche kimoipi. The Great Spirit gave us these sacred sites. They're not man-made. And the stars up there is a reflection to the earth. And we have our sacred sites and we have the star nation up there. So, when I was very young, elders, they came together and they talked about, we want to write some of the star knowledge, the stories, the ancient ones, and our prophecies. I was young at age and Nakshimatkecha. Mukhacha Wichach Pikle Wakana Iwoglakapi. Dugnache. Hochoko Kithapi na was in a Hecha in a Iwoglakap. na che makaka na che buchon ye hunka na ta ko che makaka na utra be che makaka na che buchon ye na che wiki le wa kon che na duk dek de he che on shi che ke na hoyapi pa ke na wa kon che na oyate na wa ble ze tranka he che na yu hapi lo mitakepi che na che wale an kiksapi na che ki wa yo kit hapi na worksape na nachchi hun khnachche na gluhapi chake at khankalaki na nija na uchwaki estanie che mazska na agaka pishni a hocho kaita ha uchwaki hechota yake na chemitake pi ampetukile wala ona shepi kha heche uchwaki kile na khankala kilna waka piche apetu aje na wojapis okoyapikte the elders told me like a long time ago, the way our life is not going to be good because lack of respect to our people by sacred language, by the way our life is, much sickness shall come upon the earth. And our prophecies will be coming together. And that's happening right now today. Ahani lila ahani achuchaki ta. Acha makaka nache oyate hina uchoye. Nka oyate uchoye nka. Wa sa tranka shauka khokinka el akipapi. Nache ishu shichake heche na wochiki kaka pinka heche. Thunkashle shekti na hoyapi. Nka na uchoyaki nache. Apetu heche the Tioshpa da Uchasha num Esha Pahata in Ajipi. Katranka Esha Uchalapi. Na Okshaksha eto Najipi Naka Machpima Gaoku Heshe. Ona Kaiche. Esha Waka Pika Amachpiake. Esha. Ukataha Esha Wioache Lila Oangwaste Chahi. Nukache Takweche open niche Katranka Heche Heches Chanupa Chanupa Ahipis Takweche Wati Uchaka Hike. Nuka Utrakikta he Taha Naji Piunka. Wajid Trogia Wilukshapi. Nash Wajid was there as a Wati Wilukshan was still hot. And on yes, Leaka Pitoe and Nichabich Taku Nitrapi. Nuka le Wiakile Waji Shicha Wilukshan on a Mirte Ukte. So Oji Chasha Oji we check the Yaka. At the Machbeki at the Tagni Wanka Pija Shnina ha. Eta Heche Kaski ya Yunka Le Wichashwa Omahe okay. Eche Uati Huchotikta Eche Tahani Gluya Piki ona Talk Echo Le Chicha Upi. cha igluyapi. Ache. Hunka apetu wajena hunka apetu topa kam. Ache wate igluyapi khache muya ahi. Nache le khatranka opemne yugran hunka. Ache chanupo na sha. Chahe. That just iha wache ke kaka pikte. Le iya sha na ha cha le nupa pikte. Cha nupa pikte. Chas let's just wache ke kaka pikte. Khatia topa na makpia no chi makhana huya pikte. Le tant khukata ke acha ke wichoni zani wichoni wayanki kaka pikte lo. Nache wate na wicha ke na ha. Eche wana taku eche khukata ke na slapikte. Le chanu pakle okahi pionka. Wana ekshi chasha eche only uchasha hena washti chela wanka pikte. Ita wothachi troki chana wanka piktishni. Le chanu pana awa ahola pikte. Wopre khwopre. Khukata ke le chanu pakle sloya pino wochiki yakaka pikte. Cheta wiya ke le pa chekte manina. Khokea inashina iglapte. Mostly nashin khan. Khatkanka tenchla sape. Chapata kiyana inashina eche iglapte na mostly nashin tenchla luta. Eche ji yamnikta iglohomnina nashin khan. Tenchla zi chainaji. Chito pakta pa akabia akani achi najin. Iglapta ni najin kha. Tenchla san cha paha chekte yochba. Nache na leche chanupakilahi. I share with you the sacred bundle. The elders told me that every 100 years is one generation. Always have a good mind. The wolf, a vow that you cannot break to the Great Spirit. To have a good mind, not to use foul language, and they even told me that not to join military, but talk about our role and responsibility of the sacred chanupa, the sacred pipe. So I was saying that as a 19th generation keeper of sacred pipe here, telling about the story that was told to me. And it's a beautiful story about the wife of the calf woman. She, when the people were having a hard time, there was 2 scouts, and they were looking for buffalo or game. When a cloud came upon them, and the clouds are very low. When from there, a beautiful woman came. She came to the 2 scouts And she's told him, you know who you are, what you're thinking. One had lustful thoughts, bad thoughts, and then the other one had good thoughts, good intentions. So she came and told him that, you know who you are, you come to me. So the one that wanted to take her as his woman, he approached her, and a heavy cloud enveloped him. When the cloud was lifted, he was in skeleton. And she told the others, prepare a place for me. I shall come with this gift, this buffalo robe. So some people say it was 1 day, and then some people say it was 4 days. But she came, and as she was singing, and these songs we still keep in our ceremonies today. She came and brought the sacred bundle, and she opened it. It's a red stone and a wooden stem. She told, this is the way. From here on, you're going to pray. Only the good shall see the pipe. The bad should not even see it or touch it. You, the laws of the pipe, you shall learn in time. You can pray for peace, harmony, pray about life, how sacred it is. After she brought the bundle, she walked up the hill, and she rolled over and stood up as a young black buffalo. She walked up the hill and stopped and rolled over. She rolled over as a red, stood up as a red buffalo. And then she walked up the hill, stopped and rolled over. She uh, stood as a yellow buckskin buffalo. The way towards the top, she stopped and rolled over. She stood up was a white buffalo calf, a black nose, black eyes, black hooves. And she went over the hill. And the people said, we'll call her the white buffalo calf woman. Later, she told the people that next time when there's a lot of turmoil or global disasters, I shall come back again, stand upon the earth as a white buffalo calf with black nose, black eyes, black hooves. You shall see many animals shall be born upon the earth. The prophecy of the white buffalo calf woman. There's going to be a lot of changes. So that story was told to me 1966. That became the bundle keeper, Shanupa Awanka. And all my life, I share that story that the elders tell me, to share that story with the people or the generations to come, they'll know. And today, it's kind of sad that a lot of people have lost their way, and that you see today, a lot of relatives being stuck here. They're not going on. Our relatives are waiting up there. We have to do ceremony to help them cross over. Na yachitu. Shale Wichoye kile dilawaka. Naha tuktogo na koyan pikile dilawaka. Yota ha sheshe makaka no koyan pikile. Wana walha wana shipinka. Taku ena yuha ashabiapi. They call it ashabiapi is disrespecter. See, even the word is kind of different. Ashabiapi is like it's a very spiritual disrespect. Hecha. And our words, we are very spiritual, proud people. Ahani na alache taha makaka na igluyapi. Igluya umpi. Actually, bhachi. Igluya umpi. Yuka wala wana shipikile. Anacho koyan pishni. Yuka chawo asa chathakin ki acho kakuke. Naha woksapaki wayashni. Yota sheshe makakneshe. Yota she lila utek uhinashin. Takugash pijuti ampi. Na we opheapi. Na sheshe takuache what hachikile wakan. Our sacred knowledge in our hair is a winter count. It's a winter count that's very sacred to our body, the mind, the body, and spirit. And that's how they make ropes to hold our teepee together. The mind, body, and spirit, the three braid. The three braid in our hair is the mind, body, and spirit. Very sacred to the hair. Na onya hochuka kapi. How to take care of your hair. Because you cannot cut your hair because that's the way you show yourself to the Great Spirit. Just like your mind, you have to get an Indian name. How you show yourself to the Great Spirit. This is who I am. Imanchapi. Nalemiye. This is me. And you can see it with the energy of the hair. Wakan. And today, we live in a world where nothing is good. People getting up in the morning, nothing is good. In our sacred knowledge, you get up every morning with a good mind. That's how the morning star starts. Wichakpi Wakan. That's who we are in our everyday life. We get up in the morning with a good mind and walk in the sun for health, happiness. These are the blessings of the Great Spirit. We give thanks, Mupila. But the star is very sacred. When they made that blanket, that star blanket, represents our people well, because the star blanket represents the morning star, the new beginning. So all this way of the star knowledge and our health and well-being. Mukhacha makakana shukoya piach. Taukash bakana wak. Nash maniki leka luze lila waste. Lila wupila. Ashna wala wana shipin khash lila wo asnat khankacho na ukachta. Wakan shukit khapina is the wayaza kapi. Ya mani wichwani kile. Na yakomani ahukila pikti hecho. We say that Mother Earth is sick and has a fever. In our way, every hill is sacred. Long time ago, when people are just all this sacred land here, they take care of their relatives. Just ceremony when somebody passes on, they put them on a scaffold, put their belongings on there, then they burn it. Then today, it's different. It's different because these hills and the river, it's not flowing good, or it's been contaminated. So that's why we stood at Stand Rock. We say Maniwichwani, because the spirit of water, when we abuse it, it's going to come back on us as the people. And acha duktogana hacha awoche kiglaha kimoni pincha hacha makakana la taku hacha hokicha. Our rivers, the creeks, the streams, all have a sacred name, because it's about how sacred life is. One thing that I heard too was Crazy Horse. It's a prophecy that someday all nations would stand underneath the tree, the sacred tree. But the sacred tree to us is it's like a tree that it's a new beginning, but we have to keep it that way. And we have the story about the Chesapa, the Black Hills of South Dakota. From the satellite view, it shapes like a heart. All the rivers and creeks and streams and the mountains have a sacred name there. And this is a place of worship. To us, it's a church. It's a sacred site. And then this Kea Makoche, this Turtle Island, all the rivers and creeks and streams, from the satellite view, looks like a tree. So the Black Hills shapes like a heart and looks like a tree, like this on a heart. Okay, Wakha. Then when you fast forward the 4 seasons, it's a heart that is pumping. And the Turtle Island, and we have our calendar, our ceremonial calendar. And all these sacred sites here. Anina, Wacheki Kakapi. Unshich Ake, Wacheki Shagap. Tunkashla Wakantaka and Hoyakem. Napaha, our sacred sites. And like that medicine wheel in Wyoming, It's a big medicine wheel. Some people try to tell us that that's a man-made, but it never was. Now all these sacred sites, they're up in the stars and here. And our relatives, our ancestors, they go and pray there. But in the modern technology, they call it the grid, where all these sacred sites are connected like that. But to us, now these are our responsibilities, our duties to go and offer tobacco, offer that wasna, cherry juice, wasna, chompahampina, ekignakapi. Eche, uchoni he washte he amanipi. Eche, ambetukile, and now eche, umongla chake, mitakepi. Yuksampo, what hachikile, yuksampo. Uchoye kile waka. Na hecho on the hanik luha pikte. This language is sacred. If you speak the language and carry yourself in a good way, you'll be healthy, and so is the relatives. So we pray to the Hongkong-yate. We pray to the animal nation. We pray for everything that has a spirit. Ta kacha makakan ikan nahiuke. Kacha wale hona she pikile. Na tuktog na che makakile. Okoyan pina ihanga pion. Kashan kitrapino ukachta. Everything that is happening is not affecting us. The way we think, people are smoking marijuana or doing things when that chanupa, the pipe is just simple. It's just the pipe itself. You in the great spirit. Chumakakan chukoyan pikile. Uthabia nupa. We have a choice. Choice to do good. Choice to do wrong. And we know who you are. And isha taku ne hena sloyaki te. Cha takomani na wichokhan kile. Cha makakaneche. Wichoyakin kha. Wichoye kile ahokilapo. Mitake piche. Try to learn not only the basic language, but the true meaning of our ceremonial way of life here. And that's where I'm coming from. What you do. I think we're here for the questions. Thank you.
Oh, Ashtedo. We got a couple questions we get to. We can't get to all of them there too. So I guess the first question is that we got it from a number of speakers. It's asking when is the Sundance, the Sundance you'll be hosting, and location.
Wacha mitake pi biwangwa chikile. Ahani kuchwanya kile. Oma kakile kimoni pinkha. Ena tuktek de hecha wacha ke kakapi. Nas tuktek de hecha pejuta na ichupi. Yache Wichwakik da Heche Chumpha Sapa Hanticha He Wiwango Chiki Le Ichumpi. So I want to say that we follow the winter, the 4 seasons for the winter come, the 4 seasons of ceremony, and then we do our ceremony and we do our medicine, and we follow that teaching. And then when the Sundance time is when the choke cherries are black, that's the season for the Sundance.
A question here too is who who will look after the next who was who will look after the sacred pipe in the next generation and the process to take care of the sacred pipe, the Chanupaya.
Chanupa, no, in our way, we don't try to make things happen, or we don't choose the medicine people. We don't choose the bundle keeper. It's a way that the spirit chooses the bundle keeper and our way. That's why we have these ceremonies like the Vision Quest, and we do these ceremonies so we would know through the ceremony. So you can't interpret your own dream. You have to put everything through ceremony. So when my grandmother, she said that it was through Wayhamble, our way as by spirit, that it chose me. That so it skipped my father and it skipped my older brother, and then it came to me. So the spirit chooses our leaders. Oh,
Oh, what's that? I guess just want to thank you for being at the conference. I know you have a lot to offer anybody out there. But is there any closing comments or anything that you want to say that you want to tell our audience, the people that have joined us for the conference?
well, Dakota, hey, ipa watching hey, mitaka pi, wale hawana shipikile, oh, hanya, makakan kichu yo ni esho going pi, na onshi chake, onshi kia, hoyapi, which one? Eche, pejuta, ukitapi, naja, ya woche ke kagapi, nash, hocho kokitapi, na ohulapikte, eche, kawachi washti chela, and najibikte. Want to tell people to stay strong in prayer and stand, if you're going to stand as a leader, to have a good mind for the people, because our well-being and health comes from our ceremony. To go to ceremony with a good mind, no drugs, no alcohol, no marijuana, because today people are saying that marijuana is a medicine. That's why I speak so strongly against it. Because, in our ceremonies, people have to really respect that. And when somebody kills another person, they say that he nape we oha. His hands are bloody and red, and they can't come to ceremony. So, in our way, we have to keep the ceremony very pure as the best way we can as a human being, and that must come back today. Oh,
Kura, but I'm happy though. It's good to see you again.
no,
Thank you for dropping by for the conference and offer some good teachings and some good words. Ashtedo.
no.
Dokshta, okay? Take care, and we'll see you again down the road.
Ah, wupila.
Yep.
Tuksha.
Yep. Dokshta, okay. Okay, I guess, well, good to hear Arvol LookingHorse. He was a 19th generation pipe keeper, out from Greengrass. Really a lot of knowledge that he has to offer us. We thank him for being part of us there too.